It says starting now. It's on.
Welcome, YouTube.
Welcome.
All right.
So I think, like I say, I think I'm all set up, Brian.
Okay. Do you have a link for me?
Oh, a link. Oh, yeah. Live link. Okay. And here we go. Here's your link.
Sweet. I'll prepare here.
And since you started using Audacity, the music is a little different.
Oh.
In the lead-in, we used to start with it fairly loud and then taper it off just as we got started, and then you kind of ran in the background for at a very low volume for a short amount of time. I kind of like that.
The intention was that it would taper out in seconds. Take 2 seconds to taper out, and I thought that's what I've been doing the entire time, but we can certainly change that around.
Yeah, just for this one, if you want to play around with it, if you have the time, start it as loud as our voices normally are, and then just as we start talking, taper it off, like within half a second before or a second before.
Well, I usually start it off quiet, and then our voices start, and the music plays under our voices for 30 seconds, a minute or something. And then when it seems appropriate, like when we get into the meat of the show, then I usually taper it off over 2 seconds.
Okay, well, that's...
But you're saying just the music is not loud enough to be more than just a little audible?
Well, no, I think what you have is good, but I'd like to hear it louder at first. Sure. So that it's as loud as our voices normally are. And then just as we start talking, have it taper off and then go underneath our voices, for, like you say, 30 seconds or whatever.
Okay.
And then go down when we get into the meat of the show.
Okay.
Let's just see what it looks like. I don't know how much time that takes you, but let's give it a try. And maybe it's not what we want to do. That's just what I thought.
Sure.
We used to do, and I kind of liked it, but I don't know. It's not. It's a small potatoes thing. Who cares?
Yeah, no, it shouldn't be hard to do. It shouldn't take me more than an extra 30 seconds to do that.
Oh, okay. You got any projects lately?
Oh, heavens, yes. Actually, I got a lot going on. So
what do you got?
I'm working on that long range RFID.
Right.
And I've been showing that off each show. So I've got the inner guts of that. Those look about the same. I've done some upgrades to the programming. So now instead of just displaying what tag has been scanned, it'll identify it as hard-coded tags that I've recorded into the memory. And that's going to be important later. Like eventually I want it to be...
Like you have each of them named in your software, and then when you scan the tag, it tells you the label or name?
Okay. It'll still tell me the EPC, which is basically just the user writable data. It's one of the first lessons in the SparkPun tutorial. And now it'll display that on the reader, as I think I showed last time, or at least I've mentioned it, I think. And now when you do that, if it's a recognized tag, it will say tag 1, 2, 3. And that'll be important later, because now instead of just scanning and saying, yes, I can scan this tag successfully, it'll be like, yes, this is a tag I trust. So that's going to be important. And eventually I want to make it similar to the commercial versions where you have a master tag and you say, okay, you've seen this master tag. Now accept the next one as a trusted tag. And that way anyone can use this program. They don't get my tag EPCs, and they'll be able to program their own, and it'll work for them suitably.
Okay. And I do see you have this on your blog for anybody who is not aware of Brian's blog. It's at 24hourengineer.com. That's 24, the numerals 2 and 4, hourengineer.com.
Yes. So the other upgrade I've made recently is the front of the panel. It's painted green, and it's kind of hard to tell with the crazy lighting and yellow surroundings in here. And it's got a big arcade button in the middle. And all that is I took an old garage door opener. My goal with this, at least a starting point, is to be able to open my garage door with a long range RFID. That'll be kind of my like show that it's working project. And all I did was remove the switch from this and add this button and an extra set of terminals on there so that when I connect a relay to it, the relay can also open and close my garage door. And that way the smarts in the Arduino will be able to trigger that relay. And it's got a nice clicky arcade button. I can't use that button.
Bigger button, Brian.
I thought about it, but I have so many of these.
You know, something about this big. Buttons that big are fun. I mean, they're just fun to press. So
yeah. No, and I have one. I have a giant red button from Axeman.
Oh, that's excellent. That's what
an Apple. But I got an idea for that already. It's gonna be my oh shit button for my keyboard.
Oh, all right.
What's that giant button? Every time you hit it, it's just gonna minimize the current window.
Oh,
shit! Oh, spam. What are you doing, Brian? Work, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. What else could it be? Clearly.
And another neat thing that I thought is timely to mention right now is that in the past, the M31 magnets, the implantable ones, I had one in my index finger, but it had to come out because it was just in beta and the coding failed. It was a real shame that it came out because they were developed by grinders for grinders. And unfortunately, they were not the biggest success in the world. But they were coded individually, and there were plenty of things that could go wrong. And unfortunately, many things did go wrong. I think there was about a 40% success rate.
Really? I'm on the 60% side of that, I think. You're talking about the M31, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's...
You've got yours in your wrist, and I was on the other side of that. Right. So another company has tried their hand at coating with titanium nitride. It's Super Magnet Man, and they have these on their site right now. Now, the original M31 cost like $40, I believe, when it was available. And, you know, that was a reasonable price because the only other commercial versions were, I believe, Steve Hayworth and Sampa von Cyborg. And I've got a Hayworth magnet in my left ring finger, and that one's, I still have it. That was my first augmentation. So these new ones from Super Magnet Man, a 10-pack was $10.
Really? And they're really
titanium nitride, and they're coated twice, and I think it's top and sides, and then they flip it and then do top and sides. They're also N55s, which is about as strong as you can get out of neodymium.
Wow. Okay. Drop a link to that to me.
Sure.
I need another M31 in my other hand.
I bought 30.
Well, for $10, man. Yeah.
Right? Because you got to pay for shipping too, which is another $10. So
my thing, and the problem with, and I don't know, there's not a real good way to solve this, is my guy, he's been in business. He's had his own shop for a long time and everything. And he is very focused on everything must be absolutely sterile and autoclaved. And you can't autoclave these magnets because you lose magnetism. So the first one I did get it implanted using a substandard chemical sterilization process. It's not, not even sterilization.
Was it chlorhexanol with ibuprofen or isopropyl alcohol?
I think so. Yeah.
That should sterilize.
Yeah, but especially it should, but it's not officially a sterilization procedure for anything that has any texture. I mean, if it was a completely smooth, non-porous surface, it'd probably be better. And my guy may sign off on it at that point, but I don't even know that he would.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I used on mine as well. And infection was not the problem. It was a rupture in the coating.
Right. So mine has never been a problem, and it really all depends on your own immune system too. I mean, there's pathogens and contaminants everywhere, no matter what. I mean, and when you do truly sterilize, people get cut all the time, deeply and whatever, and it's up to your immune system to really keep up with that. Not to be absolutely sure a fully sterile environment is necessary, and with these, you can't sterilize. Chemical sterilization is what you need. Or radiation sterilization, possibly.
Yeah, and these
both those are really expensive. I mean, I looked into chemical sterilization, and you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars for, a washer. The machines that do it are like a washing machine type size, or, you look inside your dryer when you're doing your clothes. That's about the space that they take, that they use. And you can fill that to some degree, it's all, everything's stacked,
Yeah. But magnets are tough because they want to stick together. So you got to separate them or do them one at a time. Right. If you're doing chlorhexanol and you have a vial that they come with, easy. You're doing one at a time. There's nothing for it to stick to. It's in a little glass vial.
Right.
But if you're trying to do 50,000 magnets sterilized all at once, you got to keep them separate without them touching anything. That's not easy.
But still, even the chlorhexanol, it's not. I don't think that's an adequate, good sterilization method.
It's not for everyone. It worked for us,
right?
But I have the immune system of a freight train, so I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm confident that that's enough.
Well, you never know, especially with some of these. There's funguses that have spores that can get through stuff like that, and those things they'll just start eating your skin away, and it can become very serious amputation type stuff if you let it run away with it. But it's just something to be careful. And that's one thing that with the M31s, my guy, he won't do that. He won't put it in. He says you have to autoclave it. And that's legitimate. I mean, he has a business to run. He could lose his entire livelihood if it didn't work.
Oh yeah. He's super keen on that. I've met the guy Verno of the Holy Mackerel, and he is a professional.
Absolutely. And so much experience.
Yeah.
So I get it, but I went outside of the norm for the one that I have. I mean, he wouldn't do it without putting it in the autoclave, and that would ruin it. I mean, there's no point in implanting a magnet that's this thin and has been autoclaved.
Yeah.
All right, so I suppose we should get started, Brian.
Let's get started, Tim.
Okay, we're talking about weight loss today.
That we are.
Document up.
Well, how about you? Do you have any hobbies going on, Tim?
Man, no time for hobbies.
What we're talking about today is a hobby of yours, so we'll get into that.
Yeah, this is something, but yeah, with Quinn, my new daughter, she's 7 months old. She takes a lot of attention and 2 full-time jobs. That's as much as I got, So
life is your hobby.
Yeah. It'll lighten up here. It'll take a year or two. I'll be back to doing stuff that doesn't need to be done. But at this point, it's 100% things that need to be done. There's no what I would call hobbies that take any time anyway. Okay, so I lead on this one. So I'm going to start. Brian, are you ready? We're not recording. I'm not recording. That would have been done. All right, 1, 2, 3, record. Hello and welcome. My name is Tim Shank.
And I'm Brian McAvoy. This is 2 Cyborgs and a Microphone. Today, we're going to talk about weight loss.
2 Cyborgs style.
Exactly. Now, Tim went all out with some really promising techniques, and I serve as kind of the sort of control of this experiment. Now, this started out as Tim doing stuff on the back burner, kind of a hobby stuff about a month ago. But now there's some evidence, that, at least anecdotally, that we have that we want to present. So I went the old-fashioned route. I relied on my willpower, which is totally my forte. No. And some fasting and the occasional bottle of Soylent. And for exercise, I would just do some walking. Tim, why don't you tell us what you did?
Well, I did a number of things. I like to go, like you say, all out. So I am doing intermittent fasting. So I only eat in like a 4 or 5 period hour per day. So from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., I try to get 2 meals in. I don't always. And usually with the intermittent fasting, and eating in such a short period of time, it ends up being very highly calorie restrictive. So, I mean, you can only eat so much in that 4 hours. 2 meals it feels like a lot, because, I'm hungry by 11 o'clock. Well, actually, now that I'm used to this, I'm not. But at 11 o'clock, I try to get a meal, and usually it's a bigger meal. By 4 o'clock, I'm not necessarily hungry. So it ends up being that I'm under 1,000 calories for sure per day, but usually 600 to 800 is where I'm at. every day I get about that many calories. So it's intermittent fasting, which supports the calorie restriction, and it's really severe in my case. I mean, if you talk to any doctors or weight loss or anything, they say never go as low as this. I feel great doing it. So
wow, cool.
So in addition to that, I'm trying to get in some high intensity workouts. Now they don't take me any time. I only do, it's like 30 seconds to a minute per workout, but I push as hard as I can until basically my body gives out. Wow. So I have an exercise bike, and I work at, in my office here pretty consistent. I mean, that's pretty much where I work from. And anytime I start to get a little sleepy, which is natural when you're restricting your calories so much, you don't have much energy coming in, your body tries to save it. So anytime I feel a little sleepy, or if I feel like I'm getting hungry when I shouldn't, when I can't eat or anything, anytime okay, let me start that over. I was on a roll there, and then the dog.
You were.
All right. So anytime I get a little hungry, or if I start to run out of energy during the day while I'm working, I'll get up from my chair. I'll go into the other room here where the exercise bike is. I turn it all the way up to maximum as far as resistance, and I push as hard as I can for basically as long as I can. My target there is to get my heart rate up to 80% of maximum for my age, weight, sex. They have those metrics. And by doing that, it puts your body into, it doesn't give you a lot of calorie burn while you're on the bike doing the workout. I mean, it's only 60 seconds. You're not actually expending much energy right there. Mm-hmm. But over the course of the day, that boosts your metabolism. So it brings my metabolism back up for a long period of time. So I'm not trying to get my calorie burn during the workout. What I'm doing is I'm trying to push my metabolism real hard. And that works pretty well.
Interesting. Is that something that you just found out about, or is that kind of a tried and true thing that I just haven't heard of?
Well, I think about a year ago, I forget who did this study, but they found that the high intensity workouts, and they gave different requirements for it. What they said is you push your heart rate up to 85% 3 times in 6 minutes, and then in between you cool down.
Okay.
So by doing that, you push your body into that sort of mode of where you are, intensely working out. So you get the calorie, the other effects besides the calorie burn while you're on the machine or while you're doing the workout. You get the other effects that boost the immune system, all of the other stuff that comes with working out without spending the time. So that's nice. I did that for a while. And I have to be very careful with this because I have back problems. And if I push too hard, if it gets too tense, I have to be pretty careful about my back. But I'm not doing it the 3 times for 30 seconds. I'm just doing it 1 time just to get my heart rate up. And it does. It perks you right up. I mean, actually, when I get off the bike, I'm worthless. I mean,
jelly legs.
Yeah, jelly legs. And I'm just, I'm huffing and puffing. I'm not sweating because it's not enough time to really build up a lot of heat or anything.
No, you underestimate how fast I can sweat.
Well, everybody's individual on that point.
Right.
But within a few minutes, I recover. You recover pretty quickly if you're not, pushing too hard. And I guess you're pushing as hard as you can. So you recover pretty quickly. At first, it takes a little bit longer, 4 or 5 minutes, but not after a while, it gets down to 2 minutes. And then you feel great. I mean, all of a sudden your energy comes back, the rubbery legs go away, and it works. It just tunes you right up. I mean, if I'm running out of energy during the day and I do that, then all of a sudden my metabolism, my energy level just goes, really up higher than it ever usually is without any exercise.
So kind of like taking a shot of espresso.
Yeah, except for its physical energy. It's more physical energy than medical energy. Right.
That's great. I should do that before some meetings. Some work meetings are just, the last time we had a vendor in, they're like, okay, we are going to talk about our next exciting product. And I was like, yeah, okay, good. I hope it's this tabletop because I'm real interested in that.
And then in addition to that, I am doing supplements. I'm always big on supplements.
Tell us about those.
Just some regular vitamins. I'm doing a B complex to make sure energy gets released. I'm doing some antioxidants. None of them are directly related to weight loss, but they're all very healthy to do.
Sure.
The one other one that is directly related and not as much specifically to weight loss, it's fat loss. It's HGH fragment 179 through 191. It's the last excuse me for a moment.
Since we're taking a quick break, I just want to ask you if you're doing the cooling as well, but we'll get to that when you get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
okay. Yeah, thank you for reminding me on that. So it's a fragment of the human growth hormone molecule. It's the last, 179 to 191. So that's the last 12 proteins on that molecule. I hope my math is good, but so it's the last 12 proteins on the human growth hormone molecule, which the studies have shown that it doesn't carry the risks that HGH does, which includes diabetes, because HGH itself competes for, I believe, now I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on this, but HGH itself competes for insulin receptors. So it can block insulin receptors, which increases your insulin resistance, which is diabetes.
Danger.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful with it. And a lot of people who do the HGH, they actually do insulin along with it so that they don't have diabetic effects.
So this isn't something that you just pop over to Walgreens and grab.
No.
It isn't something that the casual dieter who's like, oh yeah, I should lose a little weight before my wedding. It's not something they should think about. I mean, unless you're super committed and serious, this is not the everyday diet.
No, it isn't. And it's not a diet. I mean, that piece of it isn't a diet at all.
We're everything not doctors.
I'm extreme. Yeah, we are not doctors at all. And the administration method for this HGH, it's as insulin is. So I don't want to get too deep or focus on that, but it's a subcutaneous injection. So the studies show it's very safe and well tolerated with just about everybody. The worst side effect is lethargy. But I don't get that at all, and mild headaches. So it's very well tolerated. Again, with anything injectable, you got to be careful. I mean, you're bypassing your own body's defenses against pathogens
coming in.
Stuff. Right. So you have to follow, medical procedure.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about that in our other shows about cerebral lysin. So if you're unfamiliar about what we have to say about that, go listen to our cerebral lysin episodes.
Yes. And then, and one thing about that frag 179 through 170, it's frag 179-191. So frag 179-191 is that it only works. What it does, the way it works, is it frees fat. But if you have sugar in your system, it'll burn through that first. If you have fat in your system, it'll burn through that first, and you lose the effect. And it's expensive. It's not cheap. So if you're doing it, you really want to be in a true fasting state, which works great for me because I'm in a fasting state 90% of the time. But
by virtue of you, I'm the opposite. I'm a grazer.
Yeah,
it's a good thing I don't live next to a Cheetos factory. Man, I wouldn't even fit in this little closet.
So anyway, yeah. So if you're doing this HGH fragment, you really need to not have just eaten, and you need to not eat while it's in your system, while it's running your system, and it's about 3 hours. Otherwise, it doesn't have hardly any effect.
Okay.
Because what it'll do is it'll burn through what you just ate or what you're eating while you have it in your system, and it won't free up the fat.
So this takes some discipline. This is not just like I said, this is not a casual thing.
Right.
Although if you talk to any Weight Watchers participant, Weight Watchers is also a huge commitment, and Weight Watchers is really the only traditional dieting thing that I've heard of that really works.
Yeah.
So, nothing bad to say about Weight Watchers.
Yeah, see, the reason this works for me is if I can set those clear bounds, I can't eat it before 11. I can stick to that. I have willpower. I don't have discipline, but I have willpower.
You're lucky.
If I set a mark for myself, I'll hit it. It wouldn't matter how extreme it was. If I set that and I make that decision for myself, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. So for me, this intermittent fasting, that prevents the need. I mean, you can't eat 2,000 calories in 4 hours. I mean,
challenge accepted.
Well, you could, but it's an uncomfortable. You wouldn't have an easy time doing that, or most people wouldn't.
I'm going to be double fisting sticks of butter just to prove you wrong.
Right. But that you really have to go the extra mile, I guess, and be double fisting sticks of butter.
Yes.
But it's difficult to not be in a state of a calorie deficit, which is what you absolutely need to lose weight at all. I mean, that's kind of the key for any kind of weight loss. You have to be consuming less energy or bringing in less energy than you're expending. No matter what, you will never lose weight unless you're doing that.
I think you said that backwards. You need to be expending more energy than you're taking in.
I said bringing in less, but yeah, whatever. Yeah,
we know what you mean.
Your energy intake needs to be less than your energy spent. Otherwise, it is.
Wait, I think you said it backwards again.
Your energy intake needs to be less than the energy you spend. Come on, Brian.
Okay, no, you're right. I'm hearing it backwards. It's back. Wait, I got to switch my headphones around. I think I got the right ear on the left ear.
Yeah, that.
Oh, there we go. There was my problem.
There we go. So yeah, that's key for any weight loss. I mean, it's not possible unless you're doing that. So anyway, so the intermittent fasting really works for me because I don't have to count. I don't have to really monitor. I wouldn't need to be careful about what I eat during those 4 hours because as long as I only eat in that 4 or 5 hour period, I'm definitely under the amount of calories that I would spend in my day-to-day business. I mean, my day-to-day life. So that's kind of key.
Yeah. Yeah, and it sounds like you got some extra help from this loosening of the fat.
That's part of it. But also, and you know what? I've done stuff like this before. My energy level is through the roof. Honestly, it's so good. I mean, I feel I have trouble sitting at my desk for very long. I feel like I want to jump up and do something more active a lot.
Wow.
So
that's pretty great. I mean, unless you're stuck at a desk for 9 hours a day, then that's not so great.
Well, yeah, I have the option to get up and do some other stuff. But anyway, I think that comes from this last piece that you reminded me about is I'm doing freezing treatment on my fat. So I have these clay freezing pads there for my back because, as we said, I had back problems. I've had back problems before. Yeah. So I have these clay pads and I'm putting them on, areas where I have extra fat and leaving them there directly in contact with my skin for 30 minutes to an hour.
Ugh. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So anyway, what that does, so it turns, there's two kinds of fat. There's the white fat, which is harder to burn. It's harder to release. And then there's yellow fat, which is easy to release and burn. So what freezing does, and you can go into salons and all this stuff and pay expensive. It's very expensive to have this treatment done, but it works. And it turns your white fat, which is hard to burn, into yellow fat, which is easy to burn.
Nice. Yeah, I was mentioning this to my roommate before the show, and even she was like, "Oh yeah, I've heard of that." That's kind of it. It seems like it might be the newest craze. It might be the newest fad.
It kind of is, but it's so expensive. I mean, I don't know. I haven't priced it, but I understand it's very expensive.
So compared to when you can go to Walmart or Target and get a bag of frozen peas and do the same thing, or Walgreens and get a refrigerated pack that you put in your freezer.
Right. And the alternate is to take ice baths. So if you can bear sitting in an ice bath for 30 to 45 minutes,
I cannot.
That would be it all over. That would do it for your entire body, except for your head, unless you're submerging your head. But I haven't gotten there yet. I just use these pads and I move them around. I do a little bit many days, most days, not every day. But I do a little bit on many days, and I just move them around. I focus on an area, and I just relax for a little bit and let it freeze me. And then,
does it matter when you do those?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. I do it, midday to early afternoon, but I don't think it matters that much.
Cool.
But I think that may be contributing to the extra energy I have this time, because I've done the intermittent fasting, I've done the high intensity workouts, calorie restriction before, and I think that the difference in energy from then to now, what I have, because I have a lot more energy this time.
You are sharp on this show.
Was it?
You are sharp on this show. There are times where we've been recording for this long and we both kind of start to get into this, like kind of a little bit of funk. Our sentences aren't quite as crisp and clean, and you are just bam, bam, bam going off. And you've been doing 95% of the talking. So,
well, maybe I should ease up a little bit or something.
No, this is great.
But yeah, I think that's actually contributing to my energy loss, possibly. And this is just me guessing. I mean, people will correct me if I'm wrong on comments on YouTube and on make sure you comment on iTunes as well. But I think that possibly that turning of the white fat to the yellow fat through the freezing treatment is making the energy easier to release and burn during the day, which is great, because running out of energy is hard to deal with.
Yeah, and your body is like all of a sudden, hey, I got this energy to literally burn. I'm going to use that. You are not going to be falling asleep. You're going to be up and aroused.
Right. So that's what I'm doing, and so far I'm down. If my problem is on the weekends, I'm a little more liberal on what I eat. I normally during the weekdays, if you're on Weight Watchers, because my wife is, so I know about this stuff. The meals I'm eating are not countable. So it's chicken with vegetables, usually raw, with a yogurt dressing or mustard or something that just totally has no fat, no calories, nothing.
That sounds good. Maybe I'm just hungry.
Not too bad. It's not too bad until you eat it 4 days a week for 3 or 4 weeks at a time.
Oh God. Okay, that sounds awful.
Yeah. It takes a little dedication, but there's also pork too, so you can eat pork loin. But I try to keep the fat and sugar. I don't eat sugar. I mean, at all. I mean, I completely stay away from sugar. And then I try to get as little fat as possible. And every once in a while, I'll choose to eat some sugar, because you do need both sugar and fat. Not in the amounts we're used to getting it, but you do need a little bit of both. So I eat some grapes in that first meal, or I'll put a little mustard in it. I'm sorry, a little mayonnaise into my salad, just, a small amount, just like a teaspoon or something like that, just not enough to really do anything besides support my nutrition.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's exciting. I think we're going to be excited to hear how this continues to pan out. How much longer do you plan to do this?
Oh, I have a target. I don't know about time. I don't know about time, but I plan to be down to a healthy weight. And sadly, I'm definitely grossly obese right now, but I plan to lose 60 to 70 pounds overall. Right now, I'm down 20 pounds in 26 days.
Wow.
So not quite a pound a day. I would be at a pound a day if I didn't screw up on the weekends, which I invariably do. I'm going to have brats today. We're going to grill them out. It's just what happens,
Hey, 26 pounds in that amount of time is amazing. My technique
pounds.
20 pounds.
20 pounds in 26 days.
Okay. Guess how much I've lost?
How much? I'm going to say 5.
Through my through my willpower alone and fast walking, I've lost about 4 pounds.
Okay.
In a month.
No, that's not too bad. I mean, typically they say with a very strong diet, they recommend 2 pounds per week is kind of the max. I don't really follow their recommendations, so I shouldn't be used as an example. But supposedly a safe, strong amount of weight loss to lose is 2 pounds per week.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're doing more than that. So if people can adhere to 80% of what you've just professed, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
I might have to try that fat cooling stuff. That sounds neat.
Yeah, it's unpleasant, but you get used to it. I mean, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long to do it. One thing that I'm kind of concerned about is, if I'm choosing to free up the fat in my midsection, my what's the name of that?
Guts.
Okay. The one thing that I am watching is, I'm taking off all the fat from my midsection and I'm freezing those areas. But what about my face? Because I'm not putting freezing pads here. So will this refuse to go down? The pudginess of my face. Will that refuse to go down while the rest of it does, which would look a little weird in the end,
Well, that's when you start doing the cooling baths and get a snorkel.
Something like that. But it's working very well so far, and I'm definitely going to hit my goal within a few months here. So I'm pretty excited
about that.
Pretty excited. It's good. I need to get my blood pressure down. There's so many reasons to not be as overweight as I am. So many. There's just no limit to how much better I'll feel, how much healthier I'll be. I'll take less prescription medications. So, Brian,
I'd like to thank everyone for listening. We'd like to invite our listeners to email us at cyborgs@2cyborgs.com. You can also shoot either of us an email, tim@2cyborgs.com or brian@2cyborgs.com.
And that's spelled out. So that's TWOCYBORG. It's whatever. So anyway, we are in the process. We do have a site. It's kind of outdated, and I'll be trying to work on it as we go forward, but that could be a year. So go check out our old site at 2cyborgs.com. That's TWOCYBORGS.com. Oh, also on our site, we have our Cafe Press site where you can get cool stuff with our 2Cyborgs logo, and you can look awesome or have a great tasting cup of coffee.
It does taste better out of this mug.
Absolutely. Nice mug.
Thanks. You too. It's getting slimmer.
It's a little. Yeah, it's starting to. We'll see.
Do you want to do that line?
Oh, where am I? I'm lost, Brian.
This is Tim Shank, and I am...
Oh, okay. This is Tim Shank, and sadly, I'm not wearing one of our hoodies right now.
And this is Brian McAvoy. You've been listening to Two Cyborgs and a Microphone, brought to you by a couple of cyborgs who are getting a little slimmer.
Like, follow, share, +1, and don't forget to subscribe on any of the popular podcast services, including Google Play Music, iTunes, and Stitcher. Help us move up that podcast ladder by subscribing and commenting on iTunes. Comments are the main metric they use to do that.
And you can correct us when we say something wrong. We can also be found on Twitter at 2cyborgs. That's the numeral 2 cyborgs.
All right. Well, there we go, Brian. All right. Well, you got something to get ready for brunch, right?
Yep. Heading out.
All right. Well, I'll get this uploaded shortly. I'm going to stop the broadcast. 1, 2, 3, and